Welcome. I hope you are having a wonderful night, dear viewer. Tonight, I will be telling some terrifyingly scary stories. Make sure to leave your feedback on the comments so I can make this the best experience for you. And if you have any stories you would like me to tell, you can send them through the link in the description. Let's begin. At the time, I was 17 and living in Denver. It was during the summer and took place in my parents' cabin in rural Colorado, outside of Estes Park, in a wooded area with the nearest people being 7 miles north. It was summer, and as a teenager with nothing to do, my mom encouraged me to drive out to our underused cabin in rural Colorado. Before I left, my girlfriend texted that she wanted to come over to my house, so I invited her to the summer home. She planned to leave before night. The drive to Denver from the house is not short, but that night she would not be doing so. We brought 2 cars, hers a minivan and mine, a Ram. We spent time walking outside, watching TV and such. By the time 6:00 p.m. rolled around, I had decided to stay the night, and my girlfriend was going to leave in a few minutes, so I told her you can leave in a few minutes. So I told her you can leave whenever, but right now I'm going to grab pillows from my truck. The cars had to be parked a quarter mile up from the house, so I began my walk. Got to the car, grabbed my pillows, walked back, and saw my girlfriend absolutely distraught. She was walking for the door a minute after I left to catch up to me. When at the door, she told me I heard a light scratch. Then apparently she heard in my voice, "Hey, open the door and let me in." Luckily, my girlfriend is very paranoid and decided to look through a window to see me walking down the road, oblivious, and nobody at the door. I am confident that neither of us was under the influence, and that we were both sober, but that is only the first of 2 encounters. Both of us were freaked out by this, so we closed windows and doors and slept through the night completely fine. She left quickly at around 8:00 a.m., and I was left alone. I decided to stay because I was actually enjoying the freedom of being alone until it came to an end when I returned to the cabin. After entering, I crossed the large room to sit on the couch when I heard my girlfriend at the door sounding distraught, saying, "Open the door. Oh, please, please, open the damn door," accompanied by a scraping sound on the concrete path. I called out and said, "What the hell is going on?" I heard a reply in my own voice, "Open the door." Don't be a fool. I locked myself in the bathroom and called my dad to come over. I stayed in the bathroom until he got to the cabin, and I told him everything. I don't know if he believed me, but the next day we left immediately. I grew up in a haunted house. It was an old Queen Anne farmhouse in Wisconsin that was built in 1865, during World War. Aye. It was a halfway house for soldiers returning home from the war. There were odd things that would happen pretty routinely. Radios would turn up or down on their own. Pictures would fall off shelves. My bedroom door wouldn't stay closed no matter what I did, outside of eventually putting a latch on the door. One day when I was in middle school, a friend from school, Josie, and I decided to play around with her ouija board. Mind you, the timing for this was not good. Josie's mom had passed away, and her dad was abusing her at home, so she had been staying with us for a few days while we figured out what to do. So things were tense and emotional, and Josie was in a vulnerable position. On top of that, we didn't know what we were doing. That night, we must have made contact with something angry, or made someone angry. I don't really remember how the scene started, or what really led up to things getting out of hand. All I remember is looking at Josie, and she had her switchblade pressed to her own throat with the edge against her skin. I opened my mouth to say something, maybe yell, but at that moment the bedroom door opened, shoving the chair that was holding it closed out of the way, and then slammed shut just as the lamp on my nightstand went flying across the room, shattering against the opposite wall. When I asked her what she was doing, all she said was, "I couldn't move." We never spoke about it again. And that's the only time I can remember ever being actually afraid of what was in that house. Often, you could hear people talking in the next room over, but then no one would be there. There's a spot on one of the landings on the stairs that go up to the second floor that was always ice cold. No matter if it was the dead of summer or if the heat was turned on. Sometimes the entire house would boom and shake out of nowhere, like someone had hit the house with their car. And sometimes there was a banging noise in the ceiling, which would start at one end of the house and then rapidly, too rapidly, to be some kind of critter, travel along the ceiling to the other side of the house. It took about 2 to 3 seconds. There was a freak cherry tree in the backyard that grew as tall as the house, 3 stories. There was also a young woman with blonde hair and a white dress who appeared pretty commonly to guests in the front hallway. Those are just a few examples. About 6 or 7 months ago, my family moved to this house in Maine that was built in 1986. After we moved in, my mother became friends with the previous owners. A mother, a father, and their son. Everything was fine for a while. But a month or 2 after moving in, things started getting weird. For context, my father and older brother go to work at roughly 6:30 p.m. and don't arrive until 3:30 to 4:00 a.m. Thus me, my mother, and my younger sister are home alone until they arrive home. We have a basement in the living room that was recently renovated a few months before we moved in, and there are 2 rooms down there. My older sisters, who moved out a few weeks before, and my older brothers. Usually, me and my mother go to sleep between 11:30 and 1:00, with my little sister going to bed a few hours earlier. So me and my mom are mostly alone together in the living room. Our first little experiences were just hearing noises and small things in the basement, such as light footsteps and creaks. We thought nothing of it until it started getting worse. One day, I was in my room on my computer, headphones off, with my mother in the living room, calling with her friends and my little sister asleep in the room next to me. Suddenly, I hear a loud groan, sounding like a girl's voice, in the bathroom right next to my room. At first, I was like, "Girl, why are you groaning?" Because I assumed it was my younger sister. A few minutes later, my mom walks into my room and asks if I heard it too. I say yes, and she tells me that it was not my little sister. Immediately, I felt a pit in my stomach. My mother heard it behind her in the living room, yet I heard it in the bathroom. There were no animals in the house, and my mother's friends on the call heard it as well. We locked our bedroom doors that night. I covered mine with my dresser, and she made me sleep with a knife, just in case. A few days after that, just before bed, me and my mother started hearing what sounded like talking and light footsteps downstairs. It sounded like a man. It got so bad that she made me go in her room with her, with knives, since my room door didn't have a lock. The talking got so loud, and the footsteps so loud that my mother called our dad and made them come home early to check the house, in fear of a squatter or something being in our basement. For a moment, while we were waiting in bed, I heard a voice talking near the window. I thought my mom was on TikTok. My mother then turned to me and asked if I heard that. When my father and brother came home, they found nothing. After that, I began hearing cluttering noises in my closet at night. I assumed it was the wind, although I was scared. The next day, my mother walked into my room in the morning and told me that she had spoken to the previous owners, who lived there from 2022, and the mother had told her about her son. Her son was about 10 years old, and his old room was my current room. The mother said the son would talk to nothing and say he saw a boy in the closet. It turns out that there was a young boy who died in the area and was following the son until they moved out. My mother said he might now be following me. Another time, I was in the kitchen at about 2:00. Everyone was asleep, and I was about to do dishes. Before I started, I suddenly heard what sounded like a child crying. I immediately got worried because I thought it was my little sister, and I put my ear up to their bedroom door. But I heard no crying in there. I went back to the kitchen and heard it again before it stopped. Another time, about a month later, I was on call with my best friend. Keep in mind, it's nighttime again, and I went to the kitchen to grab dinner. I came back with my plate, and my friend asked what I was eating. And right when I responded, she was like, wait, stop. What was that? Was that you? It turns out she had heard a low hum as I was speaking, and I did not hear anything. She said she heard it on the call at the same time as I was speaking, so it couldn't have been me. This was my last and most recent experience. I was walking downstairs to grab something from my brother's room in the basement, and as I was walking up the stairs, on the last few steps, I heard what sounded like a woman humming for almost 2 seconds. As I walked into the living room, I looked at my mom on the couch and was like, "What the hell, Mom? You scare me so much." And she said, "What?" She sounded confused. And I told her I heard her hum, and she confusedly denied it. We asked my little sister, but she also denied it. I immediately called my best friend to tell her what happened. And as I was explaining, my mother was leaning over the stairs before yelling, "I just heard it." My mom sounded genuinely afraid and shocked. I could barely sleep that night. We have since moved out, a few weeks after that last experience. We haven't experienced a single thing since then in our new house. I always used to wish to experience something paranormal, but after months of living there, I am grateful that it's over. It made us feel scared and not safe, especially with my father and brother gone every night, barely believing us when we told them about it. Sorry if this doesn't make much sense. I just wanted to document it before I forgot. I'm so excited. Finally, after ages of failed date attempts on Tinder, I matched with a guy I like. Who knows? Maybe this will even turn into something bigger. But then again, I shouldn't reach for the stars with someone I don't even really know. He does seem cute, but I don't know him in person. Maybe he's someone horrible or a serial killer for all I know. Wow, your optimism never fails to disappoint me, Melissa. To be honest, I'm not the prettiest girl out there. And no, I'm not saying this for attention or pity. It's just that I'm 30, 9 years old, and people have already made babies while I'm out here, still trying to find a man that likes me, at least for my personality. Talking about pity. My mother left me when I was just born, and my sister died almost a year ago. I miss her terribly. The pain of losing a sibling is like losing a part of yourself. I lost the prettier part, I guess. We were really similar when it came to personality, but not looks. Well, she was a goddess compared to a worm like me. Life finally seems to be getting better. The date's name is Josh, and we agreed to go on a date this Friday or today. It's been a long day at work, you know. I have to take a nap if I don't want to fall asleep on my date this evening. Having to deal with my diabolical boss screaming my ear off every day has taken its toll on me. I hate it there. My colleagues hate me too for some reason. I didn't do anything to them, like I stole their spouses. Not that I ever could. I laid my head on my couch, trying to get as comfortable as possible. I set up an alarm as I didn't want to oversleep on my date with my possible future husband. I'm just being silly. I could feel myself drifting off into oblivion as the darkness engulfed me. I woke up confused as I looked around and saw that I was in my bedroom. That's strange. I remember clearly falling asleep on my couch. I looked out the window through which the sunlight bathed my eyes. Wait, the sun was setting when I took a nap. My date with Josh. Oh God. Don't tell me I was sleeping the entire time I should have been in the bar. I looked at my digital calendar and saw that it was Sunday. How could I be so stupid? How could I be so incapable of taking one guy on a date? It could have just been a one-night stand, but I couldn't even manage to get that done. I'm a failure. I don't deserve to be loved. I rushed out of bed, trying to find my phone as soon as possible. I needed to call Josh and explain to him what happened. I don't want him to think that I stood him up or something. I tried to look at the table next to my couch, as I was sure I put it there. Nope. I tried going to the kitchen and looking at the countertops, The bedroom, my bed, and my nightstands. Nope. Nothing at all. I even looked in the bathroom, but it wasn't there either, apart from being stupid and incapable of doing anything. Was I getting dementia too? Nah, I'm not old enough for that. My purse was also missing. Great. I missed my date. I lost my phone and my purse. Josh probably hates me, and I'm still ugly. What a wonderful life I have. I decided to write in my diary, as most of my emotions and thoughts were engraved there. It's not like I had anyone to share them with. It's sad, I know. Well, there is my father, but I doubt that he'd be into hearing me mope about how miserable I am. I opened my diary, and to my surprise, my last entry, which was on the 9th of June, was the following. Dear Diary, I'm so freaking excited. I'm writing this as I'm listening to Toxic by Britney Spears. I have just gotten ready for a date with Josh. In 10 minutes, I'm supposed to leave the house, but I thought that I'd have the time to share my butterflies in my stomach with something. I'll write about how our date went the moment I get home. Hopefully, well, as I should get out from this bed, as nobody likes tardy people. Wait, so I didn't oversleep. One may wonder if this was written by someone else, but I can assure you that no one can recreate my handwriting. Not even the greatest of doctors. Also, whoever wrote that sounds just like me. The thing I'm worried about is the fact that I have zero recollection of the date. Was I drugged? No, it can't be. Josh doesn't seem like the type of guy to do something like that. Looks can lie. No. This neighborhood is very safe. No one here would do something like that. I tried to calm my thoughts as I heard the door swing open. Honey, you've left your door unlocked. I take it you're home, my dad said as I prepared myself for a lecture that was going to drain my soul out of my ears, because I probably didn't call him or something. You know, honey, your silent treatment is getting annoying. Stop acting like a child and tell me if I did something wrong. Not talking to me isn't going to fix anything, you know. It's been 2 weeks, grow up already. My dad was yelling in the hallway as I took a swift look at our other digital calendar. What the hell? July 24th, 2022. I've been out for 2 whole weeks. What the hell happened to me? How can someone be out for so long? Or could it be that I just don't remember anything? Wait, how long have I been without my phone then? I saw my father get into my bedroom from the hallway, and I could hear the most devastating scream in my entire life. It pierced through my ears to my brain, which caused an immense amount of fear that made me run like a wild animal. Dad, what happened? Is everything okay? My question was interrupted by the body lying on my bed, covered in blood. Oh, my daughter. Who did this to you? Oh, my sweet child. The pain of my father would be felt through the words that were coming out of his mouth. I could see his daughter, me, laying on the bed with a stab wound on my stomach. It was not a pretty picture anyone should see, let alone the father of the figure laying there, murdered. I remember what happened now. I remember everything. My date with Josh was going great until I felt the urge to go to the bathroom. When I came back, he was nowhere to be seen. The bastard had ditched me, or so I thought. I drank the booze we had ordered in one swift gulp as I made my way towards home. I thought about how I'd never find her. I didn't look as bad in my pictures, and so the guy thought I'd tried to catfish him. I'm bound to be unhappy. Forever. I was really tipsy, almost as if I were high. The entire walk home, I could not walk straight. Maybe I should try dating girls. Pun intended. They clearly have fewer standards, at least where I live. I entered my home, and as I was about to close the door, it was pushed back, which made me fall on my buttocks. In my drunken state, which is weird as I only had 1 glass of booze, I could do nothing but scream as the person in front of me picked me up and stabbed me in my stomach. He even rotated the knife to inflict more suffering, or maybe try to make sure he kills me. First, I was miserable because I was ugly. Then I was even more miserable because my date ditched me. And now I'm even more miserable as I could remember the face of the guy that killed me. It was my own father. I knew he never liked me, but I never thought he wished me dead, let alone tried to kill me. Oh, remember how I mentioned I was feeling high, even though I drank nothing? My father probably paid him to spike my drink. I guess he might have read my diary entry from exactly a year ago, July 24th, 2023. I did it. I finally did it. After years of envy and hatred, I finally found the courage to end my sister's life. That cow had everything. Everything that I've ever wanted. Why did she get to be beautiful? While I got to look like Frankenstein's monster. Why? We had the same parents, didn't we? Why did she get blessed with my mother's genes, while I don't even look like my father? Was I even his daughter? I mean, I do understand that pretty privileges exist, but I didn't expect life to bless her with everything she ever wanted, just because she had the looks. Apart from looking good, she also managed to get married to my crush. Do you know what that felt like? Being stabbed in the back like that by your own sibling? It wasn't fair. She was the one who got good grades too, which led to her getting special treatment from our father. Our mother left us when I was born. I wonder if she did it because she was too embarrassed to admit having this both foul-looking and actually foul creature as a daughter. Nonetheless, while her death may not make me any less ugly, at least the jealousy is gone. I made her look like she had committed suicide. It was perfect. Everyone thinks she overdosed on sleeping pills on her own, and no one suspected anything but the lie I orchestrated. You may be wondering why I'd write about such a horrendous crime I've committed here. I had to get it out. She was my sister, and I'm the one responsible for her death. I'm sad that she's gone. My love for her was tremendous, but not as great as the fire I felt every time I looked at her and saw her having everything I never could. I doubt that anyone cares enough about me to read my diary anyway. May she rest in peace. I am, after all, my father's daughter. His acting is impeccable. Maybe I would have been a good actress,